fishing, but something's telling me we should go and party. Only a couple blocks away, I hear music, my friend, my music, and we could party. Everything is alright. This party going all night. Everybody having fun. This party going on and on and on. Oh, it's lovely today, we could go fishing, but something is telling me we should go and party. Only a couple blocks away, I hear music, my friend, my music, and we could party. Well, everybody know party. Hey, yeah. Party. Party. Hey, party. Hey.
Well, you know for sure I can't remember the episode number, right? Welcome to episode 189 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. It take a while, but I find it. Welcome back, all you feeling. It's been a long time. I can't remember how to do this, and I want to tell you that in the face of all kind of different technical difficulties, I'm here. So I'm recording this, not sure if we're not done record, if we go have an episode. So if you're hearing this, we good. No, I had a particular way I was going to start this episode, and I had a particular way I was going to start the episode. I default to Super Blue. I'm trying to be a good person and a good boy. All I want to hear how I really plan to start the episode. I had a whole different plan in mind. Here was the real plan.
Money, hustle the 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 money.
That was the real plan.
You are high glass.
Me not have time for you.
Hold on. Me not have time for you. Grassy. Me not have time for you. Me not have time for no jail time. That a waste time. Mine for my money and my money for my mind. The shot of them a free the dollar sign. The shot of them a free the dollar sign. Anyway you see me at any given time. Mine for my money and my money for my mind. The shot of them a free the dollar sign. The shot of them a free the dollar sign.
Blow me.
Money me a meds and you not have none fi show me. 30 million for your house up a stony. So me go and hustle round a father round me. Me nah make no boy ride me like pony. All when me broke, rich girl can't clone me. You mad? Me left that wealthy and lonely. Not even mommy can talk, say she own me. Me born as a dad.
Like live up where grow me. That was the plan. That was the original start. I was here happy to celebrate the release of Adidja Palmer, the world boss, empire boss, the great Vibes Cartel, but I'm feeling a little bad. I ain't lying. I want to tell you, I'm feeling a little bad. You know, I expected to be elated and overjoyed. I done tell everybody once Cartel performing, wherever the first show is. I now see rumors coming out saying the first show is in Africa. I don't care which part of Africa, if it is where they thief the boat and they kill Captain Phillips live. I don't care if it's there going. That's what I'd planned to say, right? But I ain't gonna lie to tell you, since Cartel come out, I'm feeling a little bad. Anyway, let me do a little personal updates first now. Plenty happening. I tell you last time, that was a long time ago. I don't know how long. This might be the most consecutive weeks I ever missed recording. Maybe 3 weeks is the last episode. Welcome to episode 189. I say that? I have been moving. I've moved. I've settled. Digicel is finally kind to me again. Thank you, Digicel. You know what I mean? Thank you, Digicel. Anybody listening from Digicel, please stop the billing in my old place. I cannot afford to carry 2 bills in these here rough times. But I moved and we settled and we pack and we unpack. I want to tell you, moving is very, very difficult. Moving. It's at a time you used to just call some partners and everybody come and they chip in and they get some beers and we cook some food and everybody move. That time passed because all my partners, all the different kind of itis that have. Sacroiliitis, arthritis, bursitis, gout, everything it had to have, men have. So you can't really call your partners to help you move again. And I'll tell you, moving is expensive. And just the packing up, you wonder how you get so much stuff. Like, how does somebody acquire so much stuff over the years? But as they say, when a man find a wife, he find a good thing, right? So we finally reach and we unpack and I have things set up. I want to tell you all kind of issues I face with this setup here, right? All sorts of issues. But we back on track, and if this episode come out, we should have episodes flowing good from now on. All good. I was on vacation and all I was on vacation too. When you see I'm missing episodes, right? And I ain't getting too much of people batting me up about this, that, and the third. I tell all of this since Easter, I say, during vacation time, nobody will be taking me on anyhow. I'll always be going on their own vacation. So I'm very happy that I went on mine because I make big promises to a certain man. And the man passed for his school of choice, you know what I mean? The man did his work. Salute again to him. So we had a promise on the table. Me and the mother promised him that if you do well in your thing, we'll carry you to Disney. As a matter of fact, it was a surprise. I want to tell you, it's the most underwhelming surprise we've seen in a long time because we tell this little boy he going Disney. He looks so, he's like, okay, sounds good. All right, yeah, I'll go. That's okay. I said, well, what kind of life this man living? I would have been overjoyed. But apparently he didn't know, when we told him about it, didn't really know what Disney World was and the whole thing about it. But you know, these YouTube babies, they don't take long to catch on. So in no time at all, he was Googling parks and all that and basically looking for where's the best meal in every single park we go to and what kind of food to try. These YouTubers, Yankee YouTubers is something else. Salute to my guy Cassius, right? Cassius gave my idea. Cassius, the idea come too late. Although I would not do it in the first place. Cassius was telling me if we can't get a podcast, we could be getting a vlog from in Disney. You know, I ain't reached that level yet. Beyond the technical difficulty, because the things I call technical difficulties, a lot of the times, it'll be pretty simple things, right? But I'm not sure that I know how to do these settings on a camera to walk around and record nothing. But I'll say that through all the different people who've done that before and rate theme park and compare theme parks, we make a plan, right? I want to tell you what was the plan. We decide we reach in the Monday. We go in Universal Studios the Tuesday. We go in Magic Kingdom the Wednesday. We taking a break the Thursday and do some shopping and some running around. And the Friday, we go into Disney's Volcano Bay. For all of y'all who did this before, right? For all of y'all who went to Disney and so on, how they find that plan song in? How they find that plan song in? Keep in mind that Nana went to you, right? Salute to my mom. Salute Linz. Number one fan of the podcast and the number one reason the podcast ain't recorded in the last 2 weeks too. She on the trip live in too. But we went to all these parks and we had a great time. Universal Studios the first day was great. I mean the way these parks is transform you back to childhood is something else to see. But there's several things that we had to do differently if we had to do that again. Yes, because when I came back, I say I'll never go back. Because I'll tell you this. If you're going or you've never been and you plan to go to Disney or carry your train Disney, I think do not go in July. Don't go. The lowest temperature we saw over there while we were in the theme parks was 93. Right? Keep in mind that my back and my knees and things feel like 93, right? Let me see where's 93 F to C. Just so you could get an idea of it. It's about 33, let's call that 34 degrees of heat. And a different kind of heat to Trinidad too because the place, there's no breeze blowing. When you go in the shade, it's hotter than in the cool. When you're in the open sun, but it's hot. It's a long walk. When you think you're inside the theme park, you're in some kind of food court area outside the theme park. It is a lot. It's tiring, but I would say Universal was worth everything. I think I went there some years before. Last time I went there, or the only time I went there might be 2007, 8, 9, that kind of timing. And it didn't disappoint. We did everything that the YouTubers say. They say reach early, didn't like go to this ride first. We tried to follow that pattern when we got there on the first day of the park, and I was a little worried for Zachary because there's a ride called the Incredible Hulk, which is the only roller coaster I really ever went on. Because I know my heart good for them kind of thrill ride on them. But we went on it and Zachary, hold you on. I was a little worried, you know. I told myself, boy, this man might try to dive off of this thing, but I was something else. I ain't promising nobody that doing too much more of that. If you do decide to go to Universal Studios, skip everything else. And if whether you're Lord of the Rings? Harry Potter. Whether you're a Harry Potter fan or not, find your way down to that Hogwarts or wherever that is. Because I never watch a Harry Potter movie. I bad with movies. Any movie that has too much fantasy and magic and man start to fly, I can't deal with too much of that. I sort of fall asleep fast. I can't deal with it. But that is so immersive, so well designed. They really take the time and design things in this country, you know, in the States. And you know, I find it very unfair, the people who, you know, like to knock all your foreigners. Foreigners, how are they going? All you all right? All you enjoy a little 4th of July and all these things? I like to knock foreigners who go on abroad and live and then like to come and talk about Trinidad, this and what we need to do better. And things. But I was one of them too, you know, because every time I travel, I find myself making comparisons between here and there. Today, still fighting up with digital, so make sure I get internet and everything working and thing in this new place I'm in. And I had to park, of course, digital, you had to come to a head office and carry back all the equipment for them to stop your billing. And it's the most complicated process. I don't know why they can't just stop billing me when I say I change an apartment. If I'm not using the service, what I'm paying for really? But I had to go now, and I can't go to any regular Digicel. So last week when I come back, I say I'm going in Digicel. I can't go in the Digicel as you usually go. I had to go in a whatever center they call it, right? I thought it had one by Tattle on Marval Road, as far as I would remember. I end up having to go in town. Now, you boy ain't going town in a long time as a Shoguners man and a South man. I enjoying living in town again, but and like I'm not accustomed to town. I am accustomed. So I had to drive now to Excellent City Center in town to find Digicel, whatever they call it, the head office or whatever it is where they carry back the thing. And a park where Salvatore building is, right? Now, it would be unfair, it would be ludicrous, insanity to try to compare Universal Studios, Harry Potter section to Salvatore building car park in town. But I had to make an appeal to the people who, we have a way of doing things in Trinidad that just is for utility only, right? And I'll say that that Universal Studios park, the ticket's expensive. The food and thing while you're there a little expensive. You know what I mean? You're going to spend a good bit of money. When you want to buy a little memorabilia, it's expensive. The photo package, expensive. Everything you're going to spend money, right? But the thing about it is, it's so well designed that sometimes you're forgetting the money you spend. It making you almost forget the real value of money or change the way you would value money in them settings, right? Especially when it's hot, so you just had to drink water. If they tell you the water is $5, you got to drink that water. It really would not matter, right? But the point I'm making is this. We have a way, even in being in Orlando, right? Being in and around Orlando, the shopping center, they build things for utility, but they also ensure that they beautify and make the space a space that people could feel good and feel proud and feel confident in and feel safe. You know, the place visually safer than when you had to go and park where Salvatore building is. And I could excuse that if that Salvatore building fall down last year and they now do the car park as a temporary thing. The thing has been a temporary thing for about 2 decades now. When it is Salvatore building come down, just the basic foundation what was left from Salvatore building is where people park in now. So your car had to be going up in a thing, and then when you reverse now, you're coming out in water. You ain't sure if that water or that mud you could fall down. So an older person like myself, when you're walking, if you didn't raise your foot high enough, you could trip and fall. And beyond all that, it not nice. Why we can't make Port of Spain, little areas in Port of Spain? Salvatore building is the heart of Port of Spain. I don't know why it's called that car park. You know, do people who I'm talking to know why Salvatore building? Google Salvatore building just in case you know it is, right? It's right only between Frederick and Henry Street and Independent on Blarenara Promenade, right? Independent Square, whatever you call it. Marine Square, right? But it is ugly, it is unsightly, it is unfinished, it's looking temporary, and it's been there since about 1975 a day. And I'm not understanding, so nobody, I'm not sure private, public, or what. I don't know who owns the thing, but we need to pass some ordinance on some laws in this country and enforce them to ensure that when you put up a car park in town or a building in town, it can't just be that the building could stand up for 10 years and it's structurally sound and it have a toilet and running water. We had to develop past that point. It can't be just for the basics and for the utility. Not when, a segment of this we will talk about crime, right? But not when we complaining about the crime in the country and the crime this and that. If the place ugly, the crime go be high, right? If you take the time and make the place nicer, when you put these same youths, grounds up all the youths and them who doing crime, right? And put them in Hogwarts, right? And let them ride and go in. What the place name we eat again? I think them Three Broomsticks restaurant or something like that. You find that the individual who attracted to crime and attracted to the stupidity of a boss and a bigger boss, and that is all the ambition you have in life. You find that little switch could change the way somebody see themselves and the way they value their own life and the way they value the life of others. All this make me change my cartel thing, but I'll get back to that. So when I walk through Salvatore Car Park today and see that we had the Hearted song as being one of the biggest eyesores and most unsightly things, it helped me from where we come from last week to come and see this here. Wouldn't that make the best and brightest people and the people who have access and who could really change the place? Wouldn't that make more and more people like them or like us or like me or like you? Wouldn't that make more of us just want to leave and see migration as a better option? Several people who reach out to me about recording and podcasts and things. They're good foreign too. All of them abroad. Everybody traveling and doing things. When you go and you see these places that designed for tourism, or just designed for themselves, or if you had to go in government offices in different countries, I mean, it's poor. When I look at least the car park that they put opposite Central Bank, that building sitting there was a huge eyesore for a while. At least the car park properly paved and it had lines and it have a little tree, a little green space. Salute Mr. Ramsing in economics, who used to tell me about, he used to teach us about he was trying to explain that economics and financial metrics alone is not how you measure human development. Like when we talk about first world and all this kind of thing, it's not just about the money. It's about how people see themselves. So I remember being struck by this in our economics class when he talked about green spaces, how important green spaces are in a city. There's actually a metric for when you're looking at the most developed or the best cities in the world. They measure what percentage of it is green space and places that people could. Because if it's all buildings and concrete jungle style, that doesn't do good for your mental health. You know what I mean? And I don't know, boy. That was a real the little place where the people taking the money is temporary and it's ugly. The ground ugly, the fence ugly, I ugly, the whole place ugly. Why we can't make things pretty, make it pretty and nice and let people feel good to be in the heart of Port of Spain? But anyway, I went through the Hogwarts. That was amazing, and this is out of the 1%, right? I stay away for too long not to be able to come back and talk about the 1% immediately. One of the biggest differences in this country between the haves and the have-nots, and the children of the haves versus the have-nots, is the level of exposure that the children of the haves have. The people who do well, who figure out something, whether you do well legal or illegal or what, they travel different places, they see a little more in the world and they see what the world. I want you to imagine that your whole world that you see is Salvatore Building Car Park. And tell me if that was your child, who all they see was that kind of dilapidation and degradation, you know what I mean? If they could really have a whole lot of ambition and want more for themselves in life versus the people who every Saturday morning they jump on a boat and they go down the islands and they live in the palatial residences and so on, and then they travel and they see nice places, you know what I mean? They run a drop of a dime, they run to Paris and France and so on. And you're going to have a different quality child, a different quality adult coming out of that space than a child who sit down in Salvatore Car Park whole day or whatever equivalent of that Salvatore Car Park is the community they come from. And then they listen to Plumpy Boss and who shoots a Plumpy Boss in St. Martin and if he live and who off them because one is 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and who can go Gonzalez. It's going to be a different thing. But anyhow, the Universal was nice. Go and check it out. I realized that one of the big shows they had, because the Hogwarts section with Harry Potter had a whole thing, and I realized the thief we whole stick fighting. Olive, right in the middle of the Hogwarts. I don't know what's the song they were singing, right? But nobody can tell me that wasn't stick fighting and boy, they do. I never watch movies, so me never had stick fighting in the Hogwarts. But one of the big shows that all these white folks stand up and watch is good stick fighting. I'll tell you as well that we went Disney the next day, Magic Kingdom. I'm not going back. Every time, any direction you watch in Magic Kingdom, I see 5,000 people walking towards me and 5,000 people walking with the direction I walk in. I'm not sure that I could do that. Every line, there was one particular roller coaster we tried to go on. The line was 180 minutes. I think the fast pass was like $100 US per person or something like that. And when I watch the fast pass, it's 60 minutes. I'm not doing that. It was too hot. It was too... And I mean, granted, we went to Universal the day before, so I think we ourselves was blown out. We was exhausted. So you know what? By the Friday, we ain't go on one single water slide. None. I sit down in that lazy pool. Me, Stacy, Zachary. Well, Nana, I didn't think Nana come out of the eating area. Nana sit on the whole side. She missed the whole of Volcano Bay. But we went in a lazy river. We make some wrongs. We bathed in a wave pool, and we was glad to see you out of this. So that was me. That's why I was abroad. And I did plan to record before I leave. I did plan to record as soon as I come back. But as I say, the technicalities fighting me. So I might find myself by affordable imports very soon. Salute to Conrad. I hope affordable imports really affordable. Otherwise, I'm not going to see my for a while again. But yeah, we here. What did I miss? I guess the hottest topic on the dockets is the Olympics, right? Salute to all the Olympians from Trinidad and Tobago, first and foremost. So you know how it's go, right? We back in Trinidad first. We have a way of doing this, you know. We back in Trinidad first, and then we back in the rest of the Caribbean. Or the rest of the Caribbean and Trinidad kind of like one. All of we support one another. And then we back in kind of like Africa, and then we back in the Black Americans. You know, we have a order in the way we do this thing. I think we still don't like to see white people win too much, but the Trinidadian team, I will say that when I saw the opening, the little glimpses I catch of the opening, I was still abroad when the opening was going on. But the opening had its own bunch of controversies. And I think we had to keep in mind that France and Paris, France, you know, that country is one of the most controversial countries when it comes to loud and controversial or obnoxious protesting or even violent, right? We like to talk about Paris as a city of romance and them kind of thing, but I want us to remember that Paris is as colonizers, just like a lot of them in Europe. But they're very, very what was the word I'm looking for? Like you must look up the history of France when it comes to revolutions and protests and those types of things. And that will give you some understanding as to the debate on the opening ceremony. Because one thing I like is that you see social media. Social media like the idea of making somebody else wrong. You know what I mean? Social media bring us into an era where the only way to prove you right is to prove I wrong, which I find is a kind of nonsense, and might be one of the reasons I start recording this story, because I can't take backing and forthing with people on social media who woke and have all the information. After one or two Google search, they have all the information about everything, and act as if you post anything that you didn't have all the information on. You're a bigot, a dummy. You know what I mean? You gotta like social media. You know? Salute to everybody who could do them long posts and things. I was just talking the other day to my boy, salute Maurice Burke, right? He's one of them who tends to, he had the energy sometimes he just get good ignore people too, but he had the energy to back and forth with people. I can't do it because I learned from a fella named Dr. David Brizan one time, right? And he say there's less value, and I'm paraphrasing, but what I took from him was it had less value in this idea that you wrong and I right and you wrong. It really comes down to what is useful. So the way I look at debates or disagreements with people, I kind of look at it more as, is this information useful? Is this debate useful? Are both of us, is there a chance that when we talk about this topic, both of us could come out better off because I learned something from you, you learned something from me, I see something from a different perspective, or is it entertaining, right? Is it entertaining? Is it fun? Because it's bound to be educational and them thing all the time. Like I have a partner named Juan, salute my guy Juan. I like to argue with Juan because it's entertaining. You know what I mean? We talk we make our raps and thing, and we know that we're not going to argue to the point where I vex with he and he vex with me. I come in. If that is what it is, I come in out of that because it doesn't matter at that point if JP right and I wrong, and that don't matter. What matter is that it's not useful for JP to be vexed with me because who I go call tomorrow? I talk to this man every day. Nothing with sense at all. Nothing that ever sensible, progressive or what. I'm a partner. So the way I approach any kind of debate on any topic is more, is it useful? You know, like I hear people say, does it need to be said? Does it need to be said right now? Does it need to be said by me? And then that is usually get me to shut up a lot of times. And even when I'm feeling something bubbling inside me to respond to people online, a lot of times I type them things and halfway through, I will delete that. I prefer to DM somebody if they're that important to me and if the conversation is useful or if I enjoy talking to that person, I could do that and look at some different points of view. Or if you say something about me directly, I will probably DM me and I could tell you my perspective or my take on it. But or if you ask me something directly. But the truth is that when you look at the opening ceremony, let me talk about the Greek mythology or the Last Supper, whichever one you want to call it, right? One of the first things that happened to me, and it's like, nobody asked me. Nobody asked me what's my opinion about this thing. And I thank God for a platform where, I built a little platform where I could come and distill this thing in my own way. And nicely, I could watch a screen and talk about it without having to talk to anybody about it and anybody getting vexed. Because once it comes to people's religion or their politics or their sexuality and gender these days, you know what I mean? It could start to get heated. People, you could see why people will be offended by something, right? So I tend to not want to debate religion with people. If me and you good, I will probably talk about it because it will be useful. I could get a different perspective. Politics is the same thing. Like every now and again, I talk to my father, but my father and my brother like American politics a lot, right? They follow American politics, and they up to date on everything that Fox News say. And who's the next one? MSNBC, and they know who Trump got saying. And my father say Biden is the best. Biden is a smart man. His take is that Biden fully well know he was dropping out of the race, but he went down to the last so that he could bait Trump into thinking he go. Listen, I don't believe any of that. I see Biden over the last. I don't think he was fully in control. I don't think he was fully cognizant of what going. I don't think Biden know he not running at this point. Them still trying to explain to him. A matter of fact, if only anybody have an Apple ID, if only put an Apple ID on Biden now, I sure they have him campaigning and going and debate people who looking like Trump and thing. I don't think he know he drop out. And yeah, Kamala Harris now running the race, which my father seems to think that Kamala going to win for sure. Trump don't have a chance. I think the exact opposite. But again, I know my father, I could debate that with him and talk about that with him and stuff. Because it's not useful for me to go on Facebook among strangers where I have a limited amount of words that I could say. I don't have any tone of voice that I could say it in. I don't have any facial expressions to let you know that I cool. And I have the chance of this going beyond the people who I talk to on Facebook. A conversation with my father and them home by them. It's not going to go beyond there. He can't take my words unless he record me. And or I could do it on the podcast too, where if I say it in the wrong way, I could press the button. Well, when buttons used to work, I could press the button, rewind, say that again, don't like how it's sung, and even take it down if I need to. Although once I publish it, it's gone, right? But I tend not to stay away from topics like those with people. They had one Uber driver when he picked us up from Universal Studios, guy and his fella, so he wants to talk about Trump, and he say 180 families every day migrating to Florida because Democratic politics is the worst, and they want to thing and the thing. I say, wow. I play and I never hear the word Biden. I say, who Biden? That's the person name. Or he running against who's the other guy who running for UNC Trump? But I don't know who is what. I don't know nothing. I'm trying to play asleep and the man and want me to sleep. He wants to talk about politics. I avoid things like this. But I want to remember again when it comes to the opening ceremony that French by design, by history, they tend to like the controversial road. They tend to like the type of protest that's in your face and is a big global issue, and that's the culture of the people. I'm sure the Olympic Committee knew this when they went to France, or anybody who hosting any major world event know this when they go in France. It is what it is. That's it was way willing to tolerate, right? So the Olympic Committee, they come out with this thing that supposed to have come from Greek mythology. And I think they say the Greek god of wine, Dionysus. Me don't know nothing about these things. You know, you see all them kind of Greek mythology and thing where they try to beat me in school to learn who is this sauce and that one else and Pegasus and the rice. For me, no, not I don't know anything about these things. Them things never interest me. You know, I was a child when they say representation matters. I was that child because unless that person in that mythology look West Indian and talk like a Trini or a Caribbean person, I was not interested in none of them sort of wherefore and henceforth and what was the movie everybody watched with Russell Crowe and them gladiators? Oh, I may have no. Oh, you remember Easter when they used to make we watch Ben-Hur and King of Kings? I have no interest in none of them things. Once I start to see this white man carrying cross and all that kind of thing, conk me out. I can't relate. I don't understand what none of them things mean. So when I see the debate going on about this is a Greek thing and everybody now get bright, everybody is experts in Greek mythology because Christian people come out and was upset because they said the thing looking like the Last Supper and it was a mockery because they have a man, what do they call him? The long time ways call him cross-dresser. I can't remember the word they're using and they say they're promoting the LGBT agenda and mocking God, you know what I mean? They're mocking God. I think it myself mocking God. I don't know that I ever watched The Last Supper and see God on that. I don't know what you see. That's not well, I mean, if you listen to this long enough, you know my take on some of these things, right? But I think it's a nice painting. It's from Da Vinci's perspective, which has been questioned and questionable for a long time. So I don't hold the kind of reverence for things like The Last Supper that somebody who very Catholic or very Christian would hold as a nice painting. I think I went to a church in Milan at a time called Duomo. I think Duomo means church or like cathedral or something. And is that, somebody go remind me, is the place in Milan the place where they have the Last Supper? Milan Church Last Supper. Let me see if I'd really see this thing in person. I can't remember. You know, let's tell you how oh yeah, it is. I see in here Milan Museum. Milan. The Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci was one of the most famous paintings in the world. The artwork was painted between 1494 and 1498. All these things, you see when they give me these kind of facts, I just feel these people lie to it. How we know that anyway? Under the government of whosoever and so on and on. What is the Leonardo's Last Supper last days? Is located in its original place on the wall of the dining room of the former Dominican convent of Santa Maria del Gracia. Exactly in the refectory of the... Why are you trying to read this for? I think they say it's in Duomo. So they say on a short distance from Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper is Duomo Square in the historic center of the city of Milan. So I can't remember now if it is in that church or now they're saying it's on a wall. It's not actually on a... which church in Milan has the Last Supper? Santa Maria del Grazie. Holy Mary. Well, the church I see in here is not the church I went to in Milan, I don't think. But I could be wrong. But anyway, we went in there and we saw a whole lot of these ancient paintings that they beat we to learn in Sunday school and all these things. And I have no reverence for them things whatsoever. It looked nice. It was nice. It looked nice to me. I find it nice. But the thing about it, again, going back to the idea of being useful, I would say for me, it's not useful to pick a fight. Like my wife would probably hold the Last Supper with a sense of reverence. So if somebody doing something, or even if I in my bad joke and saying thing, or I make a mockery of the pain, she's not going to like that. So I had to ask myself, no, Corey, is it useful for you to go and show your wife the Last Supper and paint it over in a different way and show her LBGT? That's not useful for me because I go have weeks and weeks and weeks of headache after that. Not worth it to me. Not worth it to me. So whether I'm not saying it wasn't Greek mythology, and this is people arguing that, you see, if you think and only showing all yourself as bigots and so on because only come out and all that, it's obvious that people who are Christians would be offended by this, right? I think it's obvious. In designing this, when you're doing let's say you're doing a play. The last thing I told you about was Calypso Rose and Stacey Sobers doing Calypso Rose and so on, right? That's the last play I went to. It was clear to me that some thought went into that play on how they will treat with certain issues with Calypso Rose. When they will bring it in, how will they bring it in? How they were sensitive to the matters about Calypso Rose and her own choices. They were also sensitive in how they showed Sparrow in the. I guarantee you, Roma Spencer and them would have sit down and talk about, okay, they had a battle between Sparrow and Rose in the early days, and Sparrow might have well come out as chauvinistic, sexist, all the things they say these days about man, right? Mansplaining, gaslighting, all these new age terms. I'm sure Sparrow would have come out all on the wrong side of all those things. But I don't think that Roma Spencer would have find it very useful to create a piece that praises Rose, and while doing so, put down another legend in Sparrow. They would have thought through it. These things are happening by guess. But I want to tell you as well that while I mightn't find it useful to do, because if I had to design the Olympic ceremony, like we had a Trinidadian do before, it's not too far-fetched, you know, I might never know. I might get a call to do the opening ceremony one day. I'll call Law Stripe, they go fix up that for me. But if I get a call, I would be considerate of the people my audience. My audience made up of what they used to like to say these days. You had to put it on your resume, right? DEI. They didn't want to put DIs. They put DEI. Diversity, exclusion, and inclusion. What do the next E stand for? Equity? So diversity, equity, and inclusion. That put it on your resume and you will get whatever job you're looking for. I just put Corey Shepherd, DEI certified. They wouldn't even check to see where you get it from. But because I understand that I have several audiences, I have an audience here I'm talking to. I'm very careful about what I say and who I offend. I don't play them games. And not because of political correctness or whatever term you want to use, because I just don't want to I don't want to be offending people. If I offend people, my views and things will grow faster. But that is not for me. I will take my time. So imagine I have a global audience now in the Olympic opening. I had to consider all the resumes of people who are DEI and say, well, all right, we want to make sure that there's a certain amount of equity and inclusion here, because the Olympics is not about America and England and the big countries alone. We had to make sure we're inclusive of the smaller nations who mightn't have the kind of budgets and who might be starting at a minus, basically, and those types of things. We have different people from different genders, different backgrounds, different sexuality, different religions. I wouldn't do it. And so suppose in my innocence, I come up with some kind of skit, and then I start to realize, but wait, this skit, this looking like a hijab, you know. I call in my consultant on DEI now who are some Muslim. I say, boy, this group, what you think here? I say, boy, it's not worth it. It's not useful. Because I, like Minshall, I want to be talked about in the best of lights when it comes to the Olympic opening. I want it to be memorable, because a lot of times, go back to the Olympics and the World Cup, right, which is the pinnacle of global sporting competitions or events, right? When you see you do a good opening, like I remember that Shakira song. That Shakira song. Feel it. When you hear that now, you just remember that inextricably linked to that World Cup that it was. I think was that South Africa? Zamina? Yeah. There's and the Waka Waka and the Vuvuzela thing. All them things linked to the South Africa, even if you can't remember who win the World Cup, because the Olympics and thing is not only for sport. People who don't like sport. Imagine I see Stacey who don't know sports at all telling me about Noah Lyles and the 200 is really strong point. And this is for non-sports people and fringe people to become a whole part of the thing, right? It's not just for hardcore sporting people. So sometimes the opening ceremony could be the highlight that make the games and the thing that people remember and the songs that we play, and those are the things that make the game special. So it's not useful to me to offend any one group at the expense of another. I don't care if it was Greek mythology. When I see that, I could say, hey, this is an ode to the Greek who started the Olympics. But when it comes to this visual, this is going to offend a lot of people because they would not know that it's Greek thing, and this looking like the Last Supper, and I'm not sure if a man whole seed bag is the best way to represent anything. I mean, just Christ. No pun intended. It don't look good. Somebody was there saying that, but I will tell you this. While I might say that it's not useful to me, I think it was useful to France, because them fellas like that. Them like to be, wherever the controversy is, or the protest is or the revolution is, France want to be at the center of that. Them see that and know that and approve that. And when it went out, and they don't care. There's anybody who has been to France, listeners, you know what I mean? Tell me, like you hear lots of people who went to Paris and then talk about the fact that if you go there and you're talking English or you're not making an effort to talk there, people look down at you, you know what I mean? They see themselves as better. They look at Americans as less. And it shows throughout the games. When I see in the opening ceremony, I ain't going to talk about Trinidad uniform yet, right? Because the Trinidad uniform, it want to look a little bit like a sailor mask and a pan around the neck side and a one. That was the opening ceremony. A sailor mask with a pan around the neck side. I look like Starlift could have wear that to beat some pan somewhere. Right? And I know there's a place called the Hideout Clothing Store in Long Circular Mall. In initials or acronym or whatever, THC, you make of that what you will. Who they closed down the store and retail is what the man was doing. I'm not sure. I don't know that they was doing design. Well, coming to think about it, they did used to have their own branded jerseys, something inside the all THC vibe, right? But I might have to talk about it here as well, where they left and they went to France to start up start the business and start a design thing. So I'm glad for them. If they in France and Trinity's come in France, why not design it over there? And I find nothing wrong with we looking like Starlift. I just find we should do it like more deliberately. Like it look, some of the elements of the thing look a little bit like an afterthought. And you have to remember that athletes and things, young people going there to represent Trinidad, young people representing Trinidad and Tobago there. So you have to give them something youthful. But I find it look alright. I don't think it was as big a controversy as they might say. But what I do know is that when France wants to be the loud one, that they don't care if they're wrong or right, them decide that this go be the standout. And the docareness about French, it showed when they have announcers there. Again, controversial issues that if I sit down with somebody doing announcing for an opening ceremony, I always remember Fazir Muhammad talking about this, salute the Birdie and Barney podcast, right? I always remember Fazir Muhammad saying that he spent the time to learn all the players' names from, I believe it was an African country, he had said. He said, because if you could take the time and learn Braithwaite and Braffett and side bottom, why we can't take the time to learn quote-unquote exotic names, what the colonizers call exotic names, right? You could call people by the right name. It's the most respectful thing you could do, especially as a commentator. So if I had to call out the Olympic ceremony, I conscious now. I say, all right, the place is not Trinidad. There is Trinidad and Tobago. A mistake I make often. I say it's Antigua and Barbuda. I want to be right down the middle, not offensive to anybody. So tell me how any other country in the world could be hosting the Olympics and the announcer make a mistake and refer to South Korea as North Korea. Then you're uninformed, you're underprepared, but most of all, you don't care. And I think the French want to tell the world they don't care. That's my belief, right? This is my belief. Them want to tell the world, we don't care. We hosting you here. You go swim in the, what do you call the place? The Seine? That way they want to show the world that they don't care. I saw another clip going on where they have South Sudan winning a event. I can't remember what was the event now, you know. And when time to announce, not announce, but the medal ceremony, the most prideful part of the medal ceremony. Now I flash back to 2006 World Cup, right? Where we ain't win a game, we ain't score a goal. As a matter of fact, the highlight of the World Cup was a red card. I think it was Avery John. Not Cornell Glenn. What the next man name? Evans Wise or Cornell Glenn. I think it was hit the post and Brent Sancho scored on goal and crouch grabby here. He had the most eventful World Cup of all, right? But I'll tell you this. In Germany, it didn't matter where it was. And it didn't matter how I feel about Trinidad and Tobago. It didn't matter who was in power and who I vexed with and the opposition. It didn't matter what it was. Every time that anthem play, my eye full up of water, especially in that stadium. We trying to sing. It's only about 3 of us. Myself, a matter of fact, it might be, maybe just 3 of us who sit down together. Myself, a friend named Desiree at the time, and maybe Swazette, if I remember right. But whatever it is, it's 3 of we in a sea of Swedish people. And we try to sing that anthem like if it's 70,000 of we inside there. And I can't make because tears, just to see us there and hear that anthem. Me, I prepare for no World Cup. I borrow money to buy plane ticket. I ain't kick a ball. I in the stands, right? Understand what them players feeling. Although Birchall didn't know the answer. They understand what the other real Trinbagonians was feeling on that field when they had to sing that anthem. So imagine, and we win a thing, eh? That's just the first game, right? We just hear it. Imagine what it would feel like to under all the thing like Michelle Lee, he say, Ole doesn't support you, Ole against you, Ole say I beat woman, Ole want to carry the flag, Ole all the fight you get, all the funding you lack of, all the funding you didn't get and all them thing. You reach and you win. Now you know he's a hero in your country, he's a hero in your sport, the pinnacle of maybe your life and career at that point in time. And when them going up on the podium now for South Sudan, they play the Sudanese anthem, which is, if you do a little better, you go and Google it and see. This is people who struggle to get the independence recently. You know what I mean? And the pride they had and the moment that they could come and say, no, hey, we are with first medal. This is what you do to their moment. And again, I believe, this is my belief, that the French want to tell the rest of the world that we don't really care. The French way is the way. And if you can't conform to that, we're not really concerned. And sometimes that lack of concern is come deliberately, like what the opening ceremony was, and what the man named Gandalf, me can't remember the man name, not what the blue man name, you know his name, by making that look close to the Last Supper, and to have people who run into Facebook to say, you see, and this is a great thing, and I don't know what people are thinking, everybody else shook it because you smart, right? But it was deliberate, in my opinion, and that is how the dossier is show. But the dossier is always also shown to me by being willfully unprepared, so that they call thing the wrong name. You could just apologize. It's the French, you know what I mean? The announcement should have been made in French anyway. Who the hell cares? South Sudan, what is that? That is something. That is nothing to we. Evidence of this will come. I want you to take this and take my word here, because mistakes has happened all over the world, right? But mistake is mistake and deliberate is deliberate. I want somebody make a mistake with the French anthem in some game somewhere. See where they beat Argentina the other day, like if they win something where Argentina beat them in the World Cup and thing. When it's time, I want them to call wrong name and, you know what I mean, play wrong anthem and them types of things, and watch the fiery protests go up, you know what I mean? I'm French. But salute to everybody who went French and 1%edness, you know, so on, so on. Salute to y'all and everybody who in the Olympics. Salute to all our athletes too. We had a long list of athletes there. I know I wrote down the names of all the athletes at some point in this life. And of course, now that it's time to talk about it, I can't find it. But some of them that come into mind would be, all right, I have it here. Dylan Carter, Devin Augustine, Leah Bertrand, Zuri Ferguson, several of them. And when I see the congrats, so we ain't really place. I don't think we was in much finals either in this World Cup, right? In this Olympics. We didn't really, it's not the strongest Olympic team. And I feel like we suffering now, or we paying the price now for not having too many proper sporting, well, from the standpoint of investment, both in terms of money and effort and so on, not enough being invested, as Michel Ayi. And that is a constant complaint by athletes. Most of the athletes, if we look back at the Olympics and think, men win the gold and the silver and the bronze and thing on their own merit, you know. The support and things, sometimes even the support like backing, like people saying, hey, we backing you, we watching you. A lot of the support come after the fact, after they done get some kind of accomplishment. So it's something that we definitely have to improve if we want to seriously compete on the world stage. And my philosophy is, or maybe my question is, are we proud of the Trini athletes, or we rather talk about celebrating mediocrity? I'll tell you my position before I get into it, right? I believe that it's better we just celebrate these athletes and congratulate them and be happy for them and root for them and everything. I remember being in Smokey and Bunty when Atto won a silver medal. Now, don't go back and check what age I was then. Now, this is St. James's. Live a loose in St. James. But I remember Atto coming in second, and I remember how disappointed everybody in Smokey looked, and we had to start back up a chant for Atto one thing because people was like, and they didn't like how Atto used to talk and beat each chest and all them kind of thing. And people might remember that in that 100, them days, like now, if you false start, you're out. Them days you had 2 false starts, I believe. If the same person false start twice, then that person ejected. So I believe that race Atto win the silver. They had 2 different false starts, if I remember right. And there was one particular start that Atto get. It was correct. It was the ideal start for him, and he was known for a fast start, if I remember right? And I remember him upset, but he had to pull back and start over the race. He comes second, right? And I mean, Atto is at the heart of this Olympics too, you know. Salute to Atto. Salute to Atto. Atto might be the best Trinidadian representative we have in the Olympics up to today. But I feeling like because when you look at Leah Bertrand or Zuri, I don't know, none of we didn't know. I certainly didn't. I don't know any of these names before they reached the Olympic stage. So who is me now to tell them they underperform or we celebrating mediocrity? These girls went and do that on their own. They're making their own investment, going to practice on their own, very little funding. I don't think we do enough as a country to really come down on athletes and talk about celebrating mediocrity. I think we had to start to put pressure on the administration here so that the administration understand that we're taking sports seriously and we want to back these athletes. We want to hold them to a higher standard, but we can't hold them to a higher standard if we collectively not doing our part. I don't think it's fair. I also don't think it's fair when we have a country of people who, whether Barcelona up or down, they wear in the Barca jersey. Whether Arsenal win or Arsenal going to lose every single time, and men is wear the Arsenal jersey like but as a badge of honor. These are people who owned us before and traded us for nothing and make us work for nothing. This is the clubs that we supported. You know what I mean? And we support them like die-hard supporters, whether they're good, bad, mediocre. Well, for an Arsenal case, I mean, it's perpetually mediocre. And we still support them. I mean, I shouldn't say that as a Chelsea man, really. But we support the Real Madrids and the Barcelonas and the enslavers, basically, the colonized the people. I tell you, I went in an Uber and the Englishman tell me, you know, we like to call the white folks colonizers. What do they call us? The colonized, the man tell me as a colonized, you take colonized self. Now, he didn't say it in a mean way, but it really hit my heart when he say, yeah, you're a colony. I was like, what's happening right now? But yeah, we support these things and we wear them jerseys, buy the new one every new season. We looking for what, and we inside with them. So I don't understand why we can't have that kind of diehard support for what if Arsenal could pour that side and lost every year. If we put aside every 4 years and they make no finals, I find is just treat them like Arsenal. You know what I mean? Once they compete, we could feel happy for them and move on with life, man. Be proud of our athletes. I'm certainly proud of them. I don't subscribe to them Facebook comments. I like to say we take mediocrity and you know. I think sometimes we forget that athletes is real people. I see it more and more now in several sports, right, where athletes coming out and talk about their mental health issues. You just have athletes under all this pressure and what they should do and what they should accomplish. These people dedicate their life to this thing. If something go wrong on a day, like I look at salute of course to our St. Lucian Julian Alfred. I mean, salute to her. I'm so glad. You know, the other thing too, right, is I like Sha'Carri Richards. I don't care what they say. I like to see a woman who she on top of game, she train hard, she work hard as an athlete. I like when they have a little mouth too. And they give people talk and let them know they go beat people bad. You know what I mean? Because I don't know why people find that women in sports should be like meek and humble. This is killers. Athletes is killers. You're supposed to act like a killer. Come out there and tell people. You remember Hazley Crawford saying he went in the dressing room and say, I'm cutting everybody's ass today, and you do it. So I like to see athletes, male or female, with a little bit of edge, with a little bit of bad mind and badness in them for the rest of athletes. Something. I always remember Dennis Mitchell coming here watching Stacey watching a thing called Sprint on Netflix. And Dennis Mitchell is Sha'Carri Richardson coach. It make perfect sense to me because I saw Dennis Mitchell run against Atto in the stadium. No, Atto beat him. I properly beat him. But before the race, Dennis Mitchell was oozing a kind of bravado and cockiness and thing. They was booing him before the people was upset, not just because we were backing at one we wanted. Because we tend to be very welcoming of opponents. We have a way siders come here and Mexico is occupy the middle of we covered stands with the drum and thing and the big flag and the middle half line. I sure if them go and play in the state, them can't go and do that. Well, they kind of own the states, but in real rivalries, like what we see in Miami, when I think it was Argentina and Colombia was the two sides playing and the little small riot outside the stadium, they can't go to certain countries and do that. We were very welcoming of foreigners here. But boy, they didn't like Dennis Mitchell because Dennis Mitchell come and beat his chest and ball in and jump. That's before the race. And people take a turn on him. They didn't like that at all. We tend to see arrogance as offensive in sports. But I like it. I like Sha'Carri. And I'm surprised that I ain't hear nothing from Sha'Carri yet. But I'm well glad a Caribbean woman hold the title. Because we see Shericka Jackson come out. Elaine Thompson-Herrera come out. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price come out. I don't like the circumstances under which she come out as well because they're saying that she obviously would not stay in the Olympic Village. Most of the biggest stars in Olympics, Michael Phelps wasn't in the Olympic Village, Usain Bolt wasn't there, so how Shelly-Ann Fraser could be in the Olympic Village? You bigger than that. She probably have a hotel with her team and thing there, and then they come, and Sha'Carri wasn't there as well. And apparently when them reach the gate that they passed through the day before for their warm-ups, they tell them they had to walk, they tell them no, they had to walk around. Same thing with the French are telling you, they don't care attitude. Them don't care about the games. So I didn't realize when the story first came out that is an hour they had to walk for to get to the warm-up track. And I suppose that Shelly-Ann Fraser, level of accomplishment, her age, the injury risk and so on, if she can warm up properly for a race, then the right thing to do would be to probably pull out. And I ain't giving Sha'Carri no excuse because I like Sha'Carri, but I want to see the best athletes perform under the best conditions. That is what the Olympics promises us. So if you make Sha'Carri walk an hour, and then she run the race, I don't think that right. I don't think that fair at all. And I'm sorry I ain't hearing from her, man. I like when I'm out big. I find win or lose, you should be bad. But salute to Julian Alfred. First medal for St. Lucia, and that medal is gold. Salute to her. I mean, that was somehow I find I always miss the main performances in the Olympics. I didn't see when Keshawn threw the thing live. I think it was in a Uber, let's say Uber now, a ride share going down the road by my father, and the driver tell me, hey boy, you see when I go, I didn't even know that Keshawn had won. I think all of us were surprised, and the first time he hear Keshawn's name was when he get the gold medal. But it's such a great feeling it's bring to our country when somebody win that, especially because we only have 2 gold medals. So I think we have more than 2 now because our Olympic relay team would have gotten a gold. I think we get bumped up to a gold at some point in time if I have that right? But salute to Thea Lafond as well from Dominica. I know how to say it right now, but I'm so frightened. She probably reported in the place the other day. Dominica. Because they like to say Dominica as if it's in Dominican Republic, right? So she put them in their place and let them know where Dominica is and how many people are there and all them kind of things. And it's the home of a gold medal winner. I like that. So I believe they were the first medal as well, and that first medal was gold for the triple jump. And at the time of recording this, we still have Jareem in the mix. I thought that Jareem used to run 200 and 400. I'm pretty sure about that. But it seemed as though he only 400, and he had advanced from the first round when I last saw it. So he looking like he have some chance to medal and thing, but we will look at it. Salute to my boy. What the Yankee name? What the Yankee name who win the 100? Noah Lyles. Salute to Noah Lyles. Salute to him. Taking home the 100. They say first time in 20 years a US male win the 100 meters. I find that Jamaica dominate the sport of sprinting in a lot of ways over the last couple of decades. But when you look at it, right, on the male side, it was really Usain, Usain really step up big and dominate. But at least for the Olympics, which is the main time I'm watching track and field, it do look like if the other male Jamaican athletes getting up there. So we'll see. And then still our relays and them kind of things to run, them thing always exciting to look at, right? So we keep an eye on the Olympics, and we'll see what it is. One more thing on the Olympics before I move on. beyond the opening ceremony, you know, they had to bring the LGBTQ plus. It's at the forefront again because while they went and said the boxing woman is a man. Why are they do that? And man beating woman and they change yourself into a man to beat a woman and all this kind of thing. I remember this are very similar. It's like a reverse race Semenya. You know what I mean? Because they wanted to say Semenya is a man and Semenya running against woman. You all remember Oscar Pistorius? So that was another controversial thing with the Olympics too, where he had no legs. I'd have a better way to say that, right? But I can't remember it now. He don't have any legs. How are you supposed to say that? Amputee, double amputee, right? He's a double amputee. And he had a prosthetic sprinting. I should have probably find all the PC ways to say this before I talk about this. But he had some springs. You know what I mean? The springs. He had some springs on him. And there was vex because it was, artificial against the real people with legs and thing. I'm making up butchering this topic, but that was another controversy in the same Olympics as Semenya too. As I remember that. So they say Semenya is a man. And it was a similar situation with this boxer where it's an XY chromosome thing, or I think Semenya's situation was just a higher than normal level of testosterone. And I think to myself, well, when you're taking all kind of things to take to run fast, it must, you know what I mean? I would think most athletes in the Olympics have too high a level of testosterone. That's the other thing for me, you know. If I was in charge of these things, I wouldn't ban drugs. I go and take anything I open up Balco, anybody take anything they want to take. I want to see the 100-meter finish in 1 second. I hope I could see that before I leave this week. Let me see it go from 9 seconds to long for a race. I want to see somebody throw the javelin out the stadium. I want to see you have to throw from one stadium to the next stadium. I let people take the drugs and let me see greatness. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing with that issue with the woman. It turns out that she was born a woman and is hormonal issue that have with X and Y chromosomes. And of course, people continue to take a hard stance against it. In other words, it's like, no matter what was said, is seen as a man going in there to beat up a woman. You know what I mean? And I think to myself, your brother beating your wife, you don't study that. You don't study how your cousin is hit. How your neighbor only coming out in shades, you know what I mean? Your hand and all might be a little swift, you know. I'm talking to the woman out there, right? All your hands swift too. So I don't know what to this thing. Until they eventually showed that both she was born a woman and well, I think what worked in her favor too is that she lost some good match to natural born or at least feminine looking woman, if that is a thing in this day and age, you know what I mean? So people back off for the issue once that had happened and one that was proven true. Reading from the Variety here, right? Magazine or paper or whatever it is. Olympic Committee addresses women's boxing controversy. It is not a transgender case. So, of course, they use everybody who was arguing that a man shouldn't change his gender to go and fight a woman to say again, we's bigots and we's homophobes and so on. But I don't think that transgender men should be allowed in no women's sport. Categorically, I don't see how it could be allowed. If you're mistaken or you didn't have all the information on this, the root point that everybody was trying to make remains the same, my folks. It remains the same, my folks. The International Olympic Committee has spoken out following one of the biggest controversies of the Paris Games so far. One of that sparked widespread debate. Earlier in this week, and now a row erupted about the inclusion of two boxers which had previously failed a gender eligibility test at a separate competition. Iman Khalif of Algeria and Lin Yuting of Taiwan had been disqualified from the 2023 Women's World Championships, with the International Boxing Association President Umar Kremlev claiming that DNA tests had proved they had XY chromosomes and then they were excluded. In Paris, Italian boxer Angela Carina abandoned her bout against Khalif in 46 seconds, saying she preferred to stop for health and she'd never felt a punch like this. To me, right, when I see the highlight, it looked like she get one good punch and she decided that she done with that, you know what I mean? And of course, several of the activists, protagonists, and so on, they show up. I mean, it's a French Olympics. I don't expect the controversy soon escalated when high-profile figures stepped into the ring with J.K. Rowling posting a picture from the fight on Twitter saying, could any picture sum up our new men's rights movements better? She against the idea of transgender, at least transgender rights to be participative or to be called women, right? That's the core of J.K. Rowling's argument ever since, right? She added that it showed the smirk of a male who knows he's protected by a misogynist sporting establishment, enjoying the distress of a woman he just punched in the head and whose life's ambition he just shattered. Elon Musk, meanwhile, shared a post from swimmer Riley Gaines. Swimmer Riley Gaines that claimed men don't belong in women's sports. The ex-owner co-signed the message, writing absolutely. So that went on for a little while, but the dust settled on that. I mean, soon enough we could be running marathon and the Olympics will be behind us and we'll forget this and we'll be focused on who hosting the next Olympics and move on from all the controversy that is surrounded around this French Olympics. Where will 2028 be? 2028 is in Los Angeles. So we're back to the States. I hope they figure out how to host large-scale events by then, right? Because clearly that Colombia and Argentina thing was a mess. And the Uruguay against Colombia game before that was a mess in Copa America. And them fellas have a World Cup to host next year or year after. I just hope that they get their act together. But assuming that by the time they go back to the States, they go have a normal... If that is a little bit more normal, unorganized, and sensitive Olympics with less controversy. But once you have the wokes around, the wokes folks, you tend to find that you're going to have issues like these. Everybody, so you have to be on one side of the issue, and you have to take as strong a stance as possible. And anybody who take a stance against you, you have to embarrass them and show that they are bigot and so on. That's the way of social media arguments and so on. You know what I mean? It's a different time. But just in case you want to see, in case like you like that, and if you want to see a transgender boxer, Google Patricio Manuel, right? Patricio Manuel. If you want to see transgender boxing and them guys, right? Just in case. Patricio nickname is Cacahuete. Cacahuete. You go and Google that, right? Where are we going on to from Olympics? Where are we going on to? Everything I say everything I need to say about the Olympics here. I need to make sure that I'm doing this the right way now. Can I stay on LBGT issues and celebrate the Pride Parade that happened in Trinidad while I was gone? I wasn't here. If I was here, I would have been front and center. Front and whining on, man. Too. Color, what was the other thing? Pride TT director advocates for the right to be. I say so. Let people be wrong. This is by Jesse Ramdale. Okay? I wonder, every year it had this. I'm going to talk about this. There's a segment every year it have it. So prep. Color, music, and solidarity were on display yesterday as scores gathered to participate in the annual Pride Parade. This year, the parade took place along Marval Road, Port of Spain, and saw is Marval Road only do this nice? And saw people raising rainbow flags and dressed in rainbow attire in an almost carnival-like atmosphere, as with everything else in Trinidad. Aside from the parade, there was also a Pride Market. I miss out on the Pride Market. All you can tell me, so nobody ain't going to give me nothing nice so many Pride Market, nothing. Under the theme, The Right To, Director of Pride TT, Tracy Shepherd. Who Shepherd, mommy? Who Tracy are here, but look, I can't say that. I can't say he or she. Tracy, let me stick to the script here. Tracy Shepherd advocated for acceptance of self. I say so. Shepherd highlighted the struggles and triumphs of the LGBTQIA plus community. Shepherd also recognized and praised all stakeholders for ensuring events throughout the month were a success. Salute to you, Shepherd. Any shepherd is a good shepherd, you know. No pun intended. Any shepherd is a good shepherd. So salute and congratulations to everybody who take place in the Pride Parade. So, having said all that, are you ready to get into some issues about cartel?
The good man thing. And if my life could have rewind. And if my life could have rewind. Without money, no gold can buy a company. No. Without money, you alone confess your love to me. Yeah.
Without money, no gold can buy your company. No, without money, you alone. We could do buy cornflakes, so when me do fry fritters. Remember when you have a one slippers, nothing not one, but you still never cut like scissors. Soul caregivers, we live us. But any day me rich, me and tell you me nah left you fi gold diggers. I could a million brown in million diggers. You have to sit down in the beamers. Me get a dream last night, say we gon' be large than life. You have to get compensation for the war and strife. You watch what me I make on the monetary thing. Love is all I bring, and everybody using love. Looking at your lover's eyes and sing. Without money, no gold can buy your company. No, without money, you alone confess your love to me. Yeah, without money, no gold can buy your company. No, without money, you alone confess your love to me. And if my life could have rewind, you have to dead the yarn at the tree time.
And if my life could have rewind, and if my life could have rewind, without money, I can't buy your company. Yo. When you say without money, that song is dedicated to a woman in the name of Sidem Ozturk. You know what I mean? A woman. If you don't see the videos by now, Cartel is free, right? Should I clap that? I don't know. I'm in two mind. I need help now. I'm in a quandary. Because I documented here as saying I can't wait for Cartel to free. I also documented as saying the amount of hits it's Cartel, one thing, I mean, exoneration from murder shouldn't be. I mean, they have that amount of hits of murder too. It means Cartel might still have. I hear one person on YouTube saying that Cartel involved in several, like over 30 murders involved in, like, giving orders for and thing as head of the clansman, clan or whatever they say it is, or gang or whatever. And I mean, when you look up at hits, I mean, 30 murders, you might still have 20 more that you can have. It still get exonerated for. But I'm feeling kind of bad. Let me start by saying this, right? And Sidem Ozturk, if you don't know, is Cartel's wife. You might have seen the videos when Cartel get released. And the most famous statement now, this kind of influencing man have over people, the most famous statement now, if you're not following, is "Kiss me, baby." Chris Gayle didn't get in trouble for something like that too. Chris Gayle said, "Don't blush, baby," and he get in trouble. Cartel said, "Kiss me, baby," and there's a new hashtag on it. Because this is Cartel engaged, married wife, or I don't know what you call it, but here's the bird. And she was there waiting for him outside the jail. She moved from where she come from. I think is it Germany or Turkey or something like that. And she's now living in Jamaica, or has been living in Jamaica, and carrying on a relationship for several years with Cartel. Without money. Or British citizen, British citizen who living and working in Jamaica now, and she got engaged to Cartel in the summer of 2022 during an authorized prison visit. Studied psychology and was employed in London as a social worker helping vulnerable adults and children. And I want to commend her because women know how to play the long game. We're too short-sighted as man, you know. We don't know how to take with time. You know what I mean? And let things kusume and let her ripe and thing, but she's all right now, you know what I mean? And Cartel. But anyway, Cartel was released last week, I think it's the eve of Emancipation Day, last day in July, just before the 1st of August, widely celebrated Global Emancipation Day. And Cartel was home. After all these years of free world boss and all this kind of thing, the world boss is home. For those who don't know, I want to get a little backstory as to why Cartel home, right? And I saw, salute my guy Valdez, I believe, who was saying, and rightfully so, that Valdez make a post the other day, and it reached me too, where he said the sad thing is that there's nobody who don't believe Cartel didn't kill them people. Now, I'll tell you this outright. I believe Cartel was very much involved in the murder of these people. I think the evidence itself is overwhelming to say that Cartel was in fact involved in this. The killing a lizard was what he was accused of, right? So, some examples. They have voice notes with Cartel. I remember this coming out donkey years ago with Cartel saying they're going to never find the body. It's impossible. They'll never find the body. As a matter of fact, they have video of Cartel showing a man how to swing a pick, like pickaxe and the man bloody. It was bad back then. And this was the reason why most people felt like Cartel would never come out of jail. I want to go on record as saying as well, or reiterating that I don't believe in jail. I don't know what is the solution to not put people in jail if they do the wrong. And I'm not saying I don't believe in punishment, but I don't like the idea of locking a human being in a cage. I have enough trouble locking an animal in a cage, much as a human being. Okay, that can't be it, right? That will never be rehabilitative. But having said that, I feel like they should put back Cartel. You know what I mean? A little part of me feel like they should. I don't know what it is exactly turned more off. If it's the Kiss Me Baby and that woman take Graves' disease. Like she take thyroid for herself. Like she swallow heat thyroid. She gonna get now. And nothing ain't looking good. Because again, I wish him the best of health. He's unhealthy. I know they say he had Graves' disease and several other complications. And jail ain't nice and jail in the Caribbean worse. So I'm sure we will see him start recovering and looking more like himself. I think they said he had to do surgery to remove the thyroid. They might have to take it from the girl now because she definitely took it when he come out of jail. But I might be projecting a little bit here. But I don't like the way when Cartel come out, his Instagram presence and them kind of thing. And I granted, it's my projecting, right? Because maybe it's me putting myself in that situation and seeing how I would have behaved and what I would have show as gratitude and remorse and all those things and like a second chance at life and how I would have behaved. And that's unfair to put that on somebody else, right? Because everybody will process things different, show their gratitude different, behave differently. It's not my behavior is the right behavior in that situation. But boy, I don't like the way that looking. That it ain't looking good because the evidence was overwhelming. So you might ask yourself, like, how is Vibes Cartel free if they have overwhelming evidence of murder? No habeas corpus, according to the lawyers, right? Because as he rightly predicted in the voice, no, they can't find the body. They're accused that they pay off a funeral home to burn the body and things, and they cut it up in small pieces. Sorry to be morbid, but that is what happened, right? And with all the hits and all the thing and all the party and all the memories of Cartel and thing, we can't, me in particular, come and make joke and thing, but we still have to remember that this is somebody, son and somebody, family member who still not accounted for, right? And Cartel was convicted of murder for the person. And it's similar to some of my thoughts on this Plumpy Boss situation and the whole Trinidad thing, right? Where I want to later spare a thought for when Cartel get his hands on or get involved in Trinidad music, right? It is designed for him. And he's going to get involved in it. Mark my words, Cartel is going to collaborate with several of them Trinidad artists. He go write for them go write for he. That is coming. So it's similar to my thoughts on that, where even as I say somebody child and they're grieving for their family member and thing, when you see situations like those and people embroiled in them thing with a pickaxe thing and we go take him out and we go, them fellas and them who, God bless the dead, but might well be involved in things too. So I don't want to talk here like if Cartel walk down the street and kill some innocent man. People involved in the lives that I might never understand or be a part of. But this show that happened now where he come out and is celebratory and thing, I just want to take you through what happened in the trial, right? Obvious evidence pointing to Cartel being involved in the person being killed. And some things that sound surreal to me. So, for instance, the phone was a main piece of evidence, including the voice notes that were sent back and forth, pictures and videos that were sent back and forth. When the police get the phone in custody, the police in Jamaica, the Jamaica Constabulary Force, use the phone to call people and call birds and send out videos with nudes and porn videos from the man's phone. They used the phone while it wasn't evident. If that's not the most groupie, I don't know if to call that groupie and be naive or to call that deliberately thwarting a case and just open my eye, take the veil off my eyes. You know what I mean? There's police who must be watching thing and say, well, all right, we go botch up this evidence. We go make some calls. We go take. So when the thing come up in court now, the men say, no, they know me. I in custody then how I could make that call or I could send that voice note or send this picture. In a serious country, that case have a problem from then on. But that wasn't bad enough. The case went on. At some point, it was proven that a jury member had accepted a bribe and was offering bribes of 500,000 to the other jury members. That's our belly in this life. You know. This is the problem we have. We don't have enough belly. Right? somebody who was maybe willing or not to accept that bribe, well, clearly not, come and tell. They say, hey, this man offer me $500,000 and have a guilty verdict and whatever. Proven. All the powers that be, prosecutor, judge, defense, everybody say, let the case continue. They just get rid of the one juror who offered the people the bribe and move forward as if that would not end the case. Of course, fast forward to the Privy Council. And when it reached Privy Council never look at the evidence in the case. They never look at it. Because they say, regardless of where the evidence is, the first thing we have to look at is you are trying to understand, well, what make you continue the case when you have a juror who tried to bribe other people. It's unclear as to whether or not the juror was trying to bribe people to say guilty or not guilty. That is unclear. But what is clear is that there's a juror who was compromised and he tried to compromise other jurors. And all they just move here and continue the case like if nothing had happened. So they said, hey, you have one or two choices here, and then don't talk for the phone thing. The phone thing is a scene because they make calls from the man phone or they texting people from the man phone. So I'm not understanding what we're discussing here. That's what the Privy Council saying. They say, I don't understand what they come here for. Or they wasting the court time. Jamaica can get a sanction. So they basically say, all you have two options here. Is either have a retrial, which starts here from scratch, or you set him free. And I think the obvious decision was to set him free. Because if you're watching from the beginning, right? If you're watching from the beginning of the case, from the time Cartel was arrested to the times he had to go to court, the amount of resources, and this was basically the state argument why they could not stop at that point in time when the thing happened with the juror to have a mistrial or a retrial, because it was costing the state too much resources. A high-profile criminal where every time you go to court, a whole set of people crowd in the courtroom, crowd in jailhouse to say Gaza forever and free world boss and all them things. An international incident every time he have a trial, globally known, right? So they basically saying they can't go through that again. So when the Privy Council sent it back the other day and they say, hey, all they had to have a hearing to see whether to set him free or to redo the trial. I think it was obvious because to go back through that way, you have all the state resources, a set of police and army and all them kind of thing. Every time you had to transport this man back and forth, it would be a spectacle. It would be even more of a spectacle if they decided on a retrial this time, because now that the Privy Council show the world that, hey, everything went wrong here, and then all they go now to say retrial, then they go really say it have a conspiracy to get rid of the world boss, right? Everybody will say, hey, what is this? And there would be an even louder, like there would have French level protests in the streets of Jamaica if they had tried to restart that case. And then if you went to restart it, what evidence he was using? That same phone that had that issue, which means if it went to the highest court of appeal, which is the Privy Council again, it would get overthrown anyway. So we here and Cartel free. But I'll say this, right? I hear a couple of videos going around the internet with a mother crying about how Cartel set up to kill his son. And I find like, again, it is me projecting, right? It's just not looking. So as a parallel, and is a little bit hypocritical on my part, because I was criticizing Buju a lot, right? And I don't like, maybe Buju is not my favorite artist anyway. But I find Buju like to talk to people a kind of way, talk down to people, like if he's this lord, like if he didn't try to make a cocaine deal, you know what I mean? And I can't take him, you know. I see he on Drink Champs now. I'm going to definitely take in that episode, right? Salute to Nori and DJ EFN and Drink Champs with Buju on Drink Champs this week. And I find Buju with this kind of high righteous thing, as if he's a smart man too. He was trying to make a little deal and make a little money and them kind of thing. What we talking about here, I don't understand. But Buju, I remember also having a very, very relatively low profile re-entrance to Jamaica when he was deported, and being extremely low. Like at the time, Buju was looking good coming out of jail compared to how Cartel looking, right? And Buju kind of stay off of the social media, stay off of the, a matter of fact, you had to go and search, like, what happened with Buju? And they had released a song and they find out that that wasn't a new song, it's an old recording. So Buju went and worked on himself physically and get back his voice right and get back his look right and everything. until he had the big show in Jamaica, the big show in Trinidad. He's still on that tour, I believe. He just was in New York, get back his visa and went to New York and Miami and all that. And as much as I had bad talk that at the time, I felt like that would be a good approach for Carter. Like, you get to come out, on a technicality. I could say whatever I say, but you alone know what you do and what you was involved in. So when you come out like that and all this overwhelming evidence showing that you was involved in this thing, but you come out and is white British words beating you outside and bottle of champagne in the car and world boss and kiss me baby, and your voice sounding terrible, you're not looking good, like you I would think that the first thing to do is like take care of yourself, go and take care of your own health, and then start focusing on this outside world. So for instance, Cartel was on TikTok live the other night with Gil trying to explain to him that he live and people there, and he's still talking about Gaza forever and world boss, and not that he shouldn't do any of that, but it feel like if, again, me projecting by saying if I was sent home from jail, whether I do the thing or not, my gratitude would have looked like I just want to focus now on my family. I want to be with my wife and my children and my mother and my father and, you know what I mean, my brothers and sisters, everybody close to me, my closest friends. That is the people who seeing me at my worst while I fix myself up, build myself back, and then I could study my career and all them kind of things and getting it back on track. And presenting myself back to the world as who they remember me to be and who I am and so on. Even if that's the persona and all that is an act, right? Let's assume it's an act. I could get back to that, but it looking like not real life a little bit here. I hope I'm making sense of that. But so I was always saying, I kept saying that whenever Cartel come out and wherever he performing at the, but I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling kind of bad. I'm feeling kind of bad for the whole Cartel rhetoric. But I guess we will continue to monitor it and watch it on. Again, just like how people cancel R. Kelly and now they cancel Diddy and thing. As much as I'm feeling sad about Cartel, I'm not sure that I could throw away the baby with the bathwater kind of thing, you know what I mean? I'm not sure that I could do that. I mean, the hits is the hits, the songs is the songs. The period in my life when I was listening to Cartel heavy is still the period. So I don't know that if I could, you know, the whole cancel thing, not when you sing songs like this.
Girl's anthem. Baby, you know I am a
Set me free.
first.
Set me free.
Baby mother.
Set me free.
But you see after you,
Set me free.
you talk the truth.
Girl, I run down the Gaza youth. What you expect me to do? Love them, tender touch them. Different girl every day. Love them, tender touch them. They have girl everywhere, but you are me baby. Shorty catch me last night with a fat round girl a standpipe, and she sing off on me with a knife. Me hug her up and say that's alright. You know you are the love of my life. No worry 'cause you are my wife. But me have to have a new girl every night. She hear about give and ask me why. Me never mean to. You have to believe me. Another girl gonna have a baby. You know you are me everything. Me no need another. But a bag of girl I run down the Gaza youth. What you expect me to do? Love them, tender touch them. Different girl every day. Love them, tender touch them. Me have girl everywhere, but you are me baby. The first youth Sophia bring that a me baby mother of Brooklyn. She tell me say if me get a next youth, she a chucking on the river and she can't swim. No matter with the suicide thing. See down here, so let me tell you a thing. Me swear for love you till time end, but Alicia pregnant again. Me never mean to. You have to believe me. Another girl gonna have a baby. You know you want me everything. Me no need another. But a bag of girl I run down the Gaza youth. What you expect me to do? Love them, tender touch them. Different girl every day. Love them, tender touch them. Me have girl everywhere, but you are me baby.
Better pretend a good man sing the song, right? And just read the lyrics and then just pretend a good person singing, right? I don't know. I don't know if it's hearing the mother crying about it that changing my mind slightly. And talking about that, so I saw again this situation with Plumpy Boss. If you're not following that, Plumpy Boss is one of these well-revered young Trinidad Zest artists. What is it called? Trinidad, not Zest, right? Trinidad. But I'm singing heavy music with heavy misogyny and violence and so on. But again, as somebody who would have grew up liking Cartel, Bounty Killer, Beanie Man, Buju, I hypocritical of me to say them you shouldn't listen to what they're listening to. And he's a bad artist too. My little sister salute to Dana, put me on to some of Plumpy Boss songs, and I realize that some of them I know and like already, but it's heavy, violent. And when you watch the comments on it too, you could see where some of these youths in Trinidad, as much as I always defend the artist expression, is clear that, or it is evident, let me say, that a lot of them going down the wrong road. They're not just singing their music, they're aligning themselves with people who of that life. That is not uncommon when you look at from Biggie Smalls to Jay-Z to the smallest, who else you want to call it? Gucci Mane and Jeezy, who would have been in the South. Master P and them Baby and Lil Wayne and everything that come down from Drake to Nicki Minaj. It's not uncommon for the biggest artists in the world to be aligned with people from the underworld, right? Because underworld money just flow a little easier and a little freer to get the image that they need and the recording budgets that they need and the things to do the video and the kind of promotion and the fly private. Drug money's go a long way, you know what I mean? It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. Any big artist you could put, and that is not a black thing, that is not a hip hop thing. You go back and look at the mafia involvement in the careers of people like what the Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin and all of them. The underworld involvement in popular and mainstream music, it is global. That is not uncommon. That is not a Trinidad problem, right? So I don't want us to. I find we isolate these youths and we say, these fellas are them involved in drug thing. Go and look at Sinatra and the mob. Understand some of the meanings behind some of the things Sinatra was singing to. You know what I mean? And the Vegas residencies and the people who disappear in the desert. This is not uncommon. This is globally the case, right? So you feel for them from that extent because, again, it's like the same thing I said in the beginning of the episode where if you have children who you could pick up and show a different life and show possibility. A fellow from St. James named Alvon, right? Always used to talk about options. He was looking at people in St. James who, some going down the right road and developing themselves and doing well, and some choosing a different type of life as their route to success. And he always used to talk about, youths they need more options. If they have more options, more of them could get through under that type of thing, which I understood what he meant when he was talking about that. Because if we could just open up your eyes to the options. It's not that the options not there. And I don't like to hear people talk about, all of we are the same 24 hours. All of us don't have the same 24 hours. All of us don't have the same options. All of us don't have the same choices. It is different worlds you're talking about. And a lot of us, if they put us in this world and they close off our eyes to the travel and the education and all these things that we would see as almost default. I always remember being in Tranquil. I do O-levels in Fatima and I do A-levels in Tranquil. I repeat every exam I do too. I had to repeat CXC. I had 4 passes when I do it the first time. I had to repeat and I get back at 2 passes. No, I couldn't get in Fatima with them passes. I had to go Tranquil to do A-levels. When I do A-levels, I passed 2 out of the 4 subjects. I had to repeat, kind of like work and repeat by elders and things. I take the long route. I take the scenic route. But I always remember a partner of mine, I bounced him up recently, so my guy Sheldon Cummins. I remember being in Tranquil, and when I was in A-levels, it was clear to me that I was going on to tertiary education. Between my mother and my father, them pong that in my head so much, like I believe I could do that. I could tell you that without them saying that all the time, I would have much rather be on the block and lineman. I was never going to get involved in drugs and bad, and I was a little too coward for them things, right? Probably they are bringing too. But, I could have just lime, you know what I mean? I could have just lime and lazy it out and look for little menial jobs and stay home for the rest of my life kind of thing, live by your parents. That would be that. I could do it some of that now, you know what I mean? This whole moving process, and I could do it some live by your parents right now. But I always remember talking to Sheldon, who, when I went to Fat Tranquil and I start, you're competing in academics now, and I had a little thing with I come from Fatima and things, so I bright, you know what I mean? They put my, in a pool of people now who are doing, kind Fatima would be very, very average. But in Tranquil, outstanding, you know what I mean? I'm doing good, and this is the first time I'm going to school with girls too, so I had to study. I ain't gonna last and test this thing, you know what I mean? Or they ain't gonna try to embarrass me here. I come in to study and do well. So I remember talking to Sheldon, and as like matter of fact, like just regular conversation, to say, well, all right, well, when we go UE and them thing, when we go UE or we go and study, and he's like, you going UE after here? And I was like, you're not. I never thought of somebody who was not going on to tertiary. I just did not think of that at all. In our environment in Fatima, the regular conversation was whether you're going abroad or you're going to study here. It was never if you're going to study at all. Never. And I remember in my competing to do well in class and all them things, Sheldon was bright. Sheldon so much brighter than me that when I start studying with him and going through things and in classes with him, I kind of wondering, like, how this man passed for Tranquil? He'd have fit in Fatima. He'd be doing well in Fatima among other Fatima men who was bright. He'd be up there with the bright fellows. But it comes down to this. We don't have the same opportunities and we don't have the same 24 hours. And it's not the same when your environment is different. It's a function of that environment. So a lot of us, if they throw us into the upbringing that Plumpy Boss had, we might be worse off than them. We might be doing worse things than these fellows. So I tend not to want to look down on them. My thoughts is to try to understand it. So it's a pity that they can't separate the badness music from the actual badness, but that's not uncommon. And unfortunately, we went to do a show in St. Martin, and rumors have it that they have $100,000 bounty on his head. Somebody wants to kill him, and it's the same thing they're saying about Prince Swanee, where he's a marked man, right? So I'm reading from the Shade Room Caribbean. That's to show you how credible my sources is going downhill as we go into this episode. But a US 100,000 bounty was placed on the head of Trinidad dancehall artist Meshkash Emmanuel, aka Plumpy Boss, who was shot in St. Martin a week ago. Nice place, but like St. Martin. Salute to my guy, Nicky, who always tell me St. Martin is one of the best vacations you could have. You could go on that side, go on the front side, have a nice little thing. You know what I mean? You always talk about how nice St. Martin beach is. Nice St. Martin. Me know them have crime and them have 6 and 7 and 9 over there, but I guess 100,000 US could make people do some things. And he went there and get shot, and at one point they were saying bullet lodged in his brain, and he in a coma, or induced coma at least. And the argument then was whether they should bring him back to, or get him airlifted back to Trinidad, because St. Martin did not have the expertise, whether it's in personnel or technology, to do the surgery over there. And again, the mother crying thing, just like with Cartel, the recording I hear with the woman crying about her son when they released Cartel, and everybody's celebrating that. Cardi B, Drake, the Breakfast Club, Joe Budden podcast, everybody's celebrating. Shaggy, all the Jamaican artists. Well, Spicy, you'd expect that from, but even the artists who like straight and narrow, you see Shaggy has a straight, celebrating like back to road, and think of how it would be if what that man do your son, or that man is a wicked man or an evil man, and people celebrating it. That is rough, you know what I mean? They say kill Christ and free Barabbas, and we celebrate here. We celebrating the release of Barabbas in our way, are we? So it's the same way like I hear that mother crying. When I hear this boy mother crying about bringing him home, I feel sorry, And it was this is Plumpy Boss mother now. She was crying about getting her son home. I mean, they're a child. And to the point where the Prime Minister, is it Prime Minister or President of St. Martin, had to come out and respond to it and say basically, hey, this man didn't even come in here legally. He had no work permit to come and do no show here, or they come in here and have visitors visa and put on a show. So he said that they will hold the promoter to account. But at this point, he's back in Trinidad. They're saying that the surgery was done and it was successful and he in stable condition. So all in all, I'm glad for the youth. And similar to Cartel, when you have these kind of experiences and they come back from that, it's like how Trump had a near-death experience and now he's a changed man, you know what I mean? He's very remorseful and grateful for life after After, I mean, to hit your ears, you had to know that life and death was right. Although to me, Trump know life and death right because man, 150 something years old. But I hope that this let him see something, and I always hope that when they have life, they have hope. They say, right, and when you are youth, I find like you have extra hope, and I hope that these youths find a different way. But I mean, they have plenty positive songs along with the negative or the badness ones, and I don't see with the badness songs or nothing like that either. I just want them to not make that their life where they have 100,000 bounty on them and you have to run for young and making good money and thing. Enjoy your life, man. So salute to Plumpy Boss, salute to your family, salute to the whole Trinidad movement, and just wait for it, right? Just wait for it and get some time for when Cartel come here and link up with them fellows, you know what I mean? Let me talk about some business. A long time we didn't talk business, you know what I mean? I saw a post from Angostura that I want to highlight. Angostura signs distribution agreement to export rum and bitters to China. Now, there's a hell of a story. This whole Clico thing, and what would it be called? CL World Brands at the time, or there was a holding company that used to own Clico and all the other brands. If I could remember that now, that would be good. I can't remember it, but there was a holding company, and the whole situation with the financial crisis, I believe, around 2008, and the government stepped in and take control of Clico. I never agreed with that from the beginning, where if a government wants to bail out a company, which I think it was the right move to do, they couldn't afford to let Clico, the whole too big to fail thing, right? One of the issues back then was that Clico in pension portfolio in particular, so many people had their pensions with Clico. If you were looking for a pension in 2009, you were at the end of your working life, and you looking at your pension and your saving, and that was allowed to crash. That could create a major instability in the society, French-like type protests and that kind of things. But more so, it would become a burden on the government anyway, because now you have a bunch of older people who may or may not be able to work and contribute beyond. They can't contribute no more. The NIS contributions would be over. They would have maxed out that already, assuming that. Or a larger percentage of them would have maxed out their contributions. And then they now dependent on their children and their offspring, and dependent on the government, or dependent on handouts and so on. When they had done everything right, where they work in their young life, they set aside money, they calculate what they would need to live, and they set up the pension and how much to bury them and how much to see about them when they reach Trump level and Biden level age and cognizance and so on. And they do all the right things, and then now, due to no fault of their own, they lost that. And they don't have enough time to build back that kind of savings again. That's a major issue in society. It doesn't only affect the people who are the older ones who was expecting a pension tomorrow. It affects the 20-something-year-old person who looking at retirement now. When they look at it and they say, wait, I could save for the next 30 years and then end up with nothing at the end of that time. So it could cause a run on financial institutions as well, because the average amount of investors in pension funds and so on will drop off significantly. So they couldn't let Clico fail. And Clico at the time, through the holding company, which somebody could remind me what was the name of the holding company, had owned several companies, of which Angostura was one, right? And the government basically take over the company, take control of all the boards, 51% voting if I'm not mistaken, and never really hand back over the business to the entrepreneur. So as in with the states, who was not without the controversy themselves, when they did bailouts of financial companies over there, what they did was debt financing or grants in some cases. Some of the money they give, they never pay back. But most of it was the government giving you interest-free or very, very friendly loans to sort out your thing and help you get back on your feet, right? Some percentage of debt and grants, right? Whereas our government take an equity approach to it, as if they set a price for the company and almost like they give me the money, but them own the company now. So we've never seen the return of the entrepreneurial spirit from people like Duprey and Montai and the people who were behind, who again, Carlos John, who some of the names I forget, who was on that Clico board at the time, who would have, to me, be some of the most successful businessmen the country ever see in terms of the level of the risk appetite and the level of innovation and so on. They were at the top of the game. To me, a better thing to do would be to And I remember having arguments about this back in 2008. The better thing to do would be to give them any money they needed to sort out the current situation, work out with them how they will pay you back, and give them back the company in 2010, 11, 12. All those companies would have been far advanced now, 20 years down the road, if them men was in charge of it. Once government in charge of it, it's going to slow down and grind to a halt and be perpetually dependent on public funds. I didn't agree with it at all. And at the time, I remember admiring, or maybe it's through UE projects and things, right? I had to do research on what they had called CL World Brands and stuff. And through their ownership of Angostura. And maybe a part of our MBA, we used to study a lot on how local brands could become global and so on. And one of the ways we could become global is to build up the name of our 1919, market it all about and get people to love 1919 in the way they like Bacardi, for instance. People just go and ask for Bacardi all about, or ask for Hennessy or Johnny Walker. Them is big brands. Nobody don't know why it's 1919. So one of the routes to build up a brand is to what you call like consumer pull, right? So I advertise to consumers and I get them to increase the demand. And once they increase the demand in places like China and all these places, suppliers will find Angostura and to say, well, everybody love this 1919. Let me see who make this. And they will buy it and make it available in the shelves and on the bars all over the world, right? Which had make sense to me at the time. And another way to do that is what you call like a push strategy rather than a pull strategy, where I use my sales channels. I don't have enough people I have relationships with to sell to tell them, here what? Put some of this on your shelf. I go put the marketing behind it. People will work it. Generally speaking, a push and pull at the same time is work great, right? Saying that to say that Duprey and them fellas was geniuses. Because what they did was, instead of going through all that what I talking about there, right, is that they were doing the marketing through people like Lara and so on. They'd pick up steam in Australia with drinks like LLB. Bitters was already a global product. Any bar in the world you go to, you'll find bitters, right? And what them fellas and them do is buy out several other brands all over the world. I remember Belvedere Vodka being one there. The last purchase I remember them making was a company in Russia who was doing Belvedere Vodka. They had also bought a brand that was doing Cruzan rums. And I remember looking at it and thinking to myself, but Cruzan rum ain't sounding no more like brand, like the big brand compared to Angostura. It sounded like the same problem they will have. Nobody don't know what is Cruzan. And well, Belvedere Vodka, I guess, would have a little popularity at the time, but it's not like if, like, I thinking, well, why do go and buy out, like, Absolute, my favorite vodka, you know? Of course, it might be impossible to buy Absolute because if nobody ain't selling, you can't buy. But what he was really buying was his sales channel, because Cruzan Rums had a strong foothold in Latin America. So what he was doing was, when I say the sales channel, he buying the relationships that Cruzan Rum have with big distributors in Latin America and big retailers in Latin America. So when he buy out the company, now he bringing Cruzan for you to buy at the same rate he was buying, by bringing 1919 for you to taste. I say, here what? Drink a little 1824 to drink. So he was buying his relationships with places in Russia which would handle most of Eastern Europe in terms of distribution of vodka, and getting his rum brands through there. I can't imagine what would be the value of Angostura share today if those strategies had come through 20 years down the road. I think I trust them to make the footholds in foreign markets much more than I trust governments that I can't make up their mind who in power is a strategy for the country or anything. But anyway, going back to this, at least this is a good sign and it shows that we're headed in the right direction, so I want to highlight it. It says, as a world-renowned company for rum and bitters, we are thrilled to announce a strategic distribution agreement to export our global award-winning products to China. The agreement is with Caribbean Commercial Management Hangzhou Company Limited, a subsidiary of First Caribbean Marketing Company Limited, FCMC. Angostura took a decision to re-enter the Chinese market to capitalize on the increasing demand for high quality and premium spirits and bitters. In the coming months, our products will be exported to China. CEO of Angostura, Laura Sean, I hope I pronounced that right. I will never pronounce anybody's name right. It's understood, right? Said China represents a tremendous opportunity for our brand, given the distributors' understanding of the local markets in China. We are confident that this partnership will significantly enhance our presence and drive our brand success in this dynamic region. So they're back to China, and I think it's a great thing to highlight. One of the key differences here between this strategy now, which is great, versus what was happening then is it seemed to me that Duprey and them was in the biggest markets. They were not trying to take just an export approach, which is a cheaper approach and a less risky approach, but you will earn less on an export deal than if you go and build your own plant somewhere there. And it seemed to be that they were looking at a strategy where we would have seen Angostura, what is called a plant for rum? Distillery. You would have seen distilleries in places like Russia or China or places like those to serve billions of people rather than a handful of people. But we take all the opportunity away. If you want an example of it, one day we will do a topic and talk about the remarkable nature of SM Jalil, our own SM Jalil. We'll talk about how amazing a story it is, right? That SM Jalil is able to use Chubby and make inroads all over the world with a product that easy to copy. It's everybody in the world had their own sweet drink. The Coca-Cola and Pepsi and the brothers giants in that world. They will kill anybody. If as you rise up, they destroying you. But little company from here could make those inroads and become a global brand that you could see in Walmart or any big retailer you go to anywhere in the States. You could find Chubby and them kinds of things, just like how you could find bitters anywhere. One day we go sit down and talk about Sacha Cosmetics, which is an impossible story going into a world where, again, it's only a 2 or 3 very big, very powerful cosmetic manufacturers in the world. But somehow, Sacha Cosmetics find their way into spaces that, you wonder sometimes about little countries and how much they could do. And it brings me right back to the whole Olympic thing. If we put the right people in the right places who care about here enough, we could see amazing results in every Olympics and be a force to reckon with. Like what Jamaica was able to accomplish, or what we have accomplished before, what St. Lucia has accomplished, or Dominica has accomplished. We could make them successes repeatable and consistently repeatable over time. But we don't seem to like the idea of systems and finding the right people in the right places. We are very administrative first and top heavy, and we don't seem to put the talent first. We're not putting the talent first on the track, and we're not putting the talent first in the administration, and we're not putting the funding in the right places. Is odd to me. And these are the things that bring us immense pride, whether it's a Michelle Liahi or the ability to buy a Chubby in Canada, or the ability to drink a Stag in Australia, or buy Sacha Cosmetics in China. These are the things that bring us enormous pride, not the little politic and anything. These are the things that are going to allow us the money to fix Salvatore car park and make Tong the most beautiful place you've ever been. People, I went to a place called Disney Springs. Disney built a place named Downtown Disney. When you walk in, the place nice. When the place nice, so I just want to be nice too. I dancing to some performer, me and no everything just nice when you walk into places that nice so. And I don't think they have anything stopping us from accomplishing that or becoming that. But you have to put it in the private sector is will drive us. The government will never get us there. The athletes and the entertainers, these are the same plumpy boss and them. Because if you could write a song to lick off a man's head back, you could write a song about anything. That had to be one of the hardest songs to write. And chop up a man's small and like the violent song was the hardest song to come up with. Them men have the talent to write songs that the whole world sings. You have a man like Cartel, who the every entertainer in this thing, Drake and them fellas coming out in Cartel jersey, could write about anything. So it's like we limit ourselves in this way by constantly shooting ourselves in our foot where the progress is concerned. And I saw it again this week where out of the blue. Now I was in the stadium how much ever weeks ago when we drew to Grenada. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with our style of play and the way we was looking as a team, and I want us to dominate places like Grenada. We went, I think it's St. Vincent or St. Kitts or some kind of saint, and we beat them about 200-0. So I said, well, all right, at least we where we need to be. I remember talking to my cousin, Sheppy, salute Wayne Shepherd, Barney. And he was telling me, well, you're still qualifying. He said we're in a good place now. There's exactly anywhere, anyhow you take it. Second to Costa Rica is where we will likely finish in this group, and we have enough firepower and we'll get over the line. Several questions have been asked about Angus Eve. Man management, his selection policy, his tactics on the field. I ain't know enough about football to question nobody. And when I was in the stadium, I was like, Or is this the long ball thing we playing over there? But after surviving that first round of games, when the next round of games is next year, I just see an article out of nowhere. I don't know if this was brewing up in the football world. I must call Lasana Library and ask him. If I get it, maybe I should get Lasana to come on and talk about this. But I didn't see this coming from nowhere. Fans have been calling for Angus Eve to be fired almost after every game. At least every game that he does start Showtime, Kevin Woodley, he being called for to be fired. And he's had the best record I've seen for Trinidad football in a long time. Not that it's great or is where we need to be. But certainly is not under men like St. Fleet. And who's next fraud? Terry Fenwick. It's not under them. It's not that kind of coaching we would see. So strange that I just see an article, Eve fired, no replacement announced. I think, is it Derek King or somebody who was one of his assistants is now in charge of the team and eager to see what happens next. They're claiming that it was a move made to put York in place. Angus Eve now sign a 1-year contract. You go owe the man the money for the rest of his contract, which is something very, very common in Trinidad football, where we fire people early in the contract phase, and I don't know. The investment in the talent and so on. And if they move him to put York, I am not sure, at least from what I've seen in terms of York international pedigree at managing. York was already an assistant coach in Trinidad outfit when Latapi was the head coach, and we didn't do great. I mean, we was in the hex, but we was already hex pretty quickly too. So, I mean, if it's York, I behind York 100%. I just don't understand the decision making and the timing of it, you know. At least I guess the upside of the timing is that it puts us in a position where we have enough time before the next set of games to get a new coach in place. Is it Jack Warner coming back to say we'll get a coach that will blow your mind and get a Ben Hacker kind of situation where you have a foreigner coming back? People seem to think we need a foreign international coach. But I don't know if I agree with that. And I'm not sure that the business analogy is the best one. But if Duprey could build Angostura to where it is, and where's this Khalid and them could build, you know, you have examples here of local people who born and grow here and live here, building globally recognizable brands and companies. I'm not seeing, maybe I just don't understand the sports enough, but I'm not seeing why they can't have a local coach that could take us all the way, whether that is Angus Eve or is Dwight York or whoever it might be, right? So something to monitor, and I will continue to support Soca Warriors regardless. I don't care. We need to make it to 2026. I tell myself Angus is the man to do the job, but the powers that be say he's not. I wish him the best, you know what I mean? I'm not sure where Angus going next. We support him wherever he go. And I'm hoping that within the next, you know, by the time I come back here to record again, we naming a national coach. I hope it's not like, if you're firing him at this point, it had to be that you have the replacement in mind, right? Please tell me that all I know who you're going to put on them kind of things. And we're going to get right back on the road to USA 2026. So we back. Once you're hearing this, everything went well. I'm hoping that I just didn't spend 2 hours talking about all kind of things, because I just forget what I talk about fast. So I hope all this work, and I'm leaving all of it for this week. I hope all you have a great week. I have a little song, you know, I didn't forget how to do it. I have a little song to leave all you with, in the spirit of the upliftment of this place we call Trinidad and Tobago. Regardless of what the results are in the Olympics, I think these youths doing a great job, and they're representing and flying the flag high. Regardless of what you might want to say about we uniform when we come out anything, I wish Dream the best if we could still get some medal. We have some relay thing to run. We got to talk about it next week and we'll celebrate it. But in the spirit of Trinidad and Tobago.
So you want just not a place and not better. I'm Friday. So you want to love me country forever, yeah.
You know, I forget how much rain is really falling in the West now. Come back in Wednesday and it's rain every day. I was going to tell her, let's stay dry and stay safe and things, but I don't know if it's only me experiencing this. I see this, just say, like yellow alert and them things, so it's heavy rain and leaving only with something to stay nice and dry. You only remember this?
Now you know what we need. Receive from selfishness and greed. Indeed, that's how we succeed. Ecstatic, proceed.
When I take a look into the world today,
Yes.
I see disaster, children gone astray. Babies making babies, some being sent to jail. And with the crimes they commit, there's no one to their bail. I ask myself many questions, and I got no answer. The world needs more affection. We got to dig deeper, wash away your hatred with love, and you feel better. Just walk away from your anger, and you will live longer. The world needs more love. I say the world needs more love.
Very nice.
The world needs more love.
Tell them again.
The world needs more love.
So what you gonna do?
Love up with your baby. Drink up and be merry. Think up, don't you worry. I know life is not easy. Think up with somebody. In the party. Shake up and be irate.
I like it, like you know under the sun. Tell them, I said the love can't done. Spread it up, bring the loving and come. Share it round, everyone. Spread it up like butter on a bun. Love weighs about a ton, and we've only just begun. Bring it, come, have some fun. Share it up, everyone. And
Separation never mean you can't be friends. Keep the love in your heart till your life ends. Try not to be part of what people play. You say, I say, there'll always be a say. I ask myself many questions, and I got no answer. The world needs more affection. You got to dig deeper, wash away your hatred with love, and you feel better. Just walk away from your anger, and you will live longer. The world needs more love. I say the world needs more love.
I see
The world needs more love.
And I go see